Hey everybody, and welcome to a Tatter-a-fact here at the Girlz Ink Studio in Las Vegas. And I'm back with Olivia and Willow. How you girls doing?
Pretty good.
Pretty good, yeah.
Yeah. Did you miss me last week?
I did.
You lie. You lie. It's probably like all employees, right? When the boss is gone, they're like, yeah.
I mean, we got to catch up a lot, so that was pretty nice.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So what does that mean exactly? You got to catch up with a lot. Like when I'm here, like, 'cause I'm always vomiting like new stuff for you to do.
Yeah.
And I wake up because I wake up at 4 a.m, you know, and I have to go pee and I think of stuff. I come in and I just vomit it to you girls. Hey, let's do this and this. Hey, I got an idea. All right. So you got a lot done.
Yeah.
So I should leave more often. I should go on vacation more often. I think maybe that's what you're saying.
I mean, I'm sure you enjoy your vacations.
I did. We did. So my vacation was, it was our second annual quad trip. So, you know, four-wheelers. You know, when I was growing up, we called them four-wheelers. Actually, there were three-wheelers. And then I think those were a little too dangerous because they tipped a little bit too easy. So they put a fourth wheel on there, and then, you know, we called them four-wheelers, but now they're quads. They're called quads. So, yeah. So, you know, back in 2020, when, you know, COVID hit, you know, some people took up cooking. You know, we were all stuck in our homes for quite a while, some longer than others. And, you know, a lot of people took up cooking. Some people took up, you know, puzzles, arts and crafts. They found hobbies, you know, things like that. Making bread, making ice cream became, you know, a thing. And Kat and I, we took up quadding. We had two friends that quadded a lot, and they always spoke so highly of it and like, you should go, you should go, you should go. So finally, when everything, you know, kind of shut down and, you know, we were stuck in our homes, the one safe place to go was out in the woods on your quad, right? You're around nobody. So we went quadding, and the very first day, I mean, we just both really took to it. I had a feeling I would, because I'm kind of athletic. I'm a little bit, I wouldn't say an adrenaline junkie, but I like speed. I like challenging stuff. I like physical stuff. So I had a feeling I was going to like it, but I wasn't sure about Kat. She ended up loving it. So we bought a couple of quads, and we've been quadding ever since. So there's about 10 of us girls that go, and this is our second trip. And we go to Utah, and we have like these, you know, cases on the back of the quads, and you pack what you can fit on your quad, and that's it. So, you know, we go to Utah, and so we'll drive into like Beaver, Utah, and stay there that night. We get up the next morning and we drive like 60, 70 miles up in the Paiute trails, like deep, you know, like high in the mountains, and to the next town. The next town happened to be, I think it was Circleville. And, you know, you come out of the trails off the mountain, and you're in a new town, and, you know, you're dirty, you're dusty, you're wet. We got caught in a storm, you know, on our first day. And, you know, you're staying in these little roadside, you know, little hotels, which, you know, are not the nicest. I think usually hunters stay at these hotels. A lot of hunting up in those areas, you know, and then you get up and you hit the Paiute trails, you know, for another 60, 70 miles until the next town. And so it was a 5-day trip. We did five towns, and it's absolutely fantastic. I think the reason I love it so much is you really have to be present. You have to be in the moment and present, because quadding, it is dangerous. It can be dangerous. You're on some trails with, you know, some steep, you know, mountains, you know, going up, going down, some rocks, some canyons. I mean, there's some things, man. And so you go over streams and rivers. So you have to know what you're doing, and you have to be like hyper alert. Can't have spaghetti arms, is what we call it. You got to have a good grip on your quad, and you just got to have good skills. And like I said, be super present, because the minute you start daydreaming or thoughts, you know, your thoughts, you know, start to wander, that's when you can get hurt. So So I think that's why I took to it so quickly, and now I'm obsessed with it because it's one of the only things that keep me present and keep me in the moment. I know I've talked a lot about like my anxiety and my racing thoughts, and it's probably my racing thoughts that are my biggest issue, cause me the most problems, and that's probably what leads to like anxiety is the racing thoughts. So I'm a manic thinker, racing thoughts. And, some thoughts are good, some thoughts, are not so good. And so I've had to, develop skills, I call them, like, and, to manage the thoughts and control them because they don't go away. You can't wish them away. There's really no medicine that takes them away. So you just have to manage them. And I found things, that I call like disruptors. Like reels. We talked about that, I think, on a podcast. Like reels can be a disruptor for me. It's because you're in the moment. I'm with you girls. We're laughing. Sometimes we laugh so hard. Didn't we just do a reel? We laughed so hard. Like I almost peed. I told you, Olivia, I'm going to pee. I think I'm dribbling. I think it's running down what friggin' reel was that we did? We were laughing so hard. God, it was ridiculous. I was laughing so hard. But yeah, reels are a disruptor. Roller skating's a disruptor for me. Dancing, and quadding. So anyway, had a great quad trip. We all made it home safely, and so it's fun. So I can't wait till next year. So speaking of racing thoughts, let's talk about our next thing. We've had a couple of questions about my gummies on a prior podcast. I talked about my racing thoughts, which keep me up at night and, really, oh man, they can really mess with me, and they can cause me like sleepless nights. And after 2 or 3 days, of not sleeping, then that can turn into like a migraine for me and a whole set of issues. So gummies, I've been looking for like really good gummies and experiencing with gummies. And I think I shared the story, like my first gummy, for sleep time. I slept too late. I mean, I had to be here at a client in the morning, and I didn't get up because the gummy worked that well. It like knocked me out to the point where I must have turned my alarm off and didn't even realize it. And I slept late. But, so people were asking me about how my gummy, experiments going, and did I settle on a brand and things like that. So I've tried 3 or 4 different gummies, and I have settled somewhat on a brand. I think I'm a hard case. I really do. I think I'm a hard case. You take gummies, Olivia. Now it's public knowledge. Well, we talk about it, right? I think a lot of people suffer from sleep. They can't fall asleep. And I think there's 3 things you can do, right? You can suffer. You can take prescription medication, which I chose not to take. I didn't want to get into, some people do, and that's totally fine for them. I didn't want to do prescription meds. I wanted to find something a little bit more natural. And the gummies are made with CBD, some hemp, some THC. Some of them are a combination of all 3. The one that I have is a combination, I believe, of all 3. It's CBD. It's 50 milligrams of CBD. It's got 5 milligrams of THC, and it's got 3 milligrams of melatonin. So it's called Lights Out by Vena, VENA, Lights Out. And it's worked pretty good for me. The problem I'm having with it is it makes me you take it about a half hour before you fall asleep. I personally don't want to feel euphoric or the effects of THC. And so take it a half hour before you go to bed, and you're not going to feel those effects. I think some people are afraid to take gummies that have THC because, they don't smoke weed. and they don't want to feel euphoric, or they're afraid they're going to feel paranoid or something like that. But I find, and you and I have talked about this, Olivia, you too. You don't smoke pot. You don't necessarily want to feel the effects of THC, so you take yours before bedtime, and you don't feel that euphoric.
It's just like a specific balance too. You have to find the right gummy.
Yeah, you definitely have to find your right balance.
Yeah.
Your right balance. And so I like the 5 milligrams of THC. It makes me fall asleep, but I'm waking up at 4 a.m., between 3 and 4. So it's not keeping me asleep. So I had a really good friend who also, here in Vegas, who also really struggles with sleep a lot. And she's got someone in town that's making her some gummies with, I think she said it was 10 milligrams of THC. And there's melatonin in it as well, and there's some hemp. And so I'm going to try some of those. I haven't tried them yet, but I'm going to try them, and I'm going to see if that actually, keeps me asleep all night long. The other thing I could do is that when I wake up at 3 or 4, take another gummy, right, and see if that makes me fall back asleep. But I certainly don't want to wake up groggy.
Yeah, I was gonna say maybe it's gonna make you groggy
Yeah,
or
and
make
I
you
don't want-
oversleep.
Yeah, so I don't want to, so those are my two things. Is I don't want to feel high per se. That's just me, and I don't want to wake up the next morning feeling groggy. So, so it's the search is still on, but I think that now Lights Out was too strong for Kat. So she has another brand, and it's 2.5 grams of THC. And that works fantastic for her. She tried mine, and she was like, I think she slept till 10 a.m. And she's up at like between 6 and 7 every morning, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, like ready to go. Like she doesn't wake up and go sit on the couch and have to, take a half hour before she can utter a word. Not that's me. I wake up and I'm like, oh, like I sit on the couch, turn on a little, news, and I need about 30 minutes to get the cobwebs out. And Kat just wakes up. She's ready to go exercise. She's like super happy and like all that stuff. So she took the Lights Out, and it was like, she got up at like 10, and she was shocked. And I got up before her that particular morning, and I let her sleep. And I walk upstairs, and I'm like, Kat, it's like 10 to 10. And she's like, what? She thought I was like lying. I'm like, no. So this formula was a little bit too much. But I do think it's the THC. I've been doing a lot of research, too, on CBD oils, for sleep, for migraines, for pain. And, my research and, talking to other people, I have a doctor that I've been able to talk to here in town about it. And from what I can gather and what I'm reading, I think the consensus is gummies, CBDs, whether you're taking it for sleep, migraines, pain, anxiety, a formula with THC is more effective rather than a straight CBD formula or a straight hemp formula without any THC added. So they're finding with the added THC, it is more effective and it's more beneficial. But like, as you said, Olivia, you're right. It's finding the right milligram of THC. For Kat, it's like 2 milligrams, that works really well for her. 2 milligrams didn't do nothing for me at all. The 5 milligrams now, like I said, it's putting me to sleep really beautifully. I'm falling right asleep, which I had a very hard time doing. So it's working fantastic for that. And I'm sleeping super solid until right about 4. So it's giving me, so that's about 4.5 hours. I take it at about 11:15, and I'm usually out by 11:30, 11:45. But I'm waking up at like right around 4, every single morning, and having a hard time falling back asleep. So, yeah. So that's my report on gummies. So, So obviously there's other people. We've gotten a lot of messages and DMs about, me and my search for the right gummy. And a lot of people, kind of opened up and talked about their experience with gummies and, how they struggle with sleep and how it can be so debilitating and suffering. I mean, when you just don't sleep, I feel it's like suffering. It's like you just really suffer. And it can be quite debilitating. So you have to find something that works for you. For me, meditation, I do all the normal stuff they tell you to do online, like your phone shouldn't be near your bed or even in your bedroom because of the blue light and whatever rays or light or energy comes off the phone is not good for you. That can affect your sleep. That can give you headaches. It's crazy. I mean, you're looking at your phone right now and you don't see anything radiating off your phone, but there is. So they tell you to keep your phone not even like away from your bed. I mean, my neurologist, because I get migraines, and I brought him in on my sleep issues. I started talking to my neurologist, who as I mentioned, I see for migraines. I brought him in on my conversations about sleep, and he had a lot to contribute and educate me on, and so he was like, get your phone out of your room. I mean, get it out of your room. And so I'm like, well, then how am I going to wake up in the morning? Because we're all using our phones for alarms, right? And he's like, well, Teryn, buy an old-fashioned alarm clock. So I did. I bought an alarm clock. One of those, we call it old-fashioned nowadays. You know what I mean? So I have an old-fashioned alarm clock because I don't wake up without an alarm clock. That's just me. Do you wake up without an alarm clock, Olivia?
I do. I have like a body.
You do?
What is that called? Like a body time?
Like a body alarm. Like
Yeah.
some people do. What about you, Willow?
I have a cat.
Yeah.
I haven't made it to my alarm in months.
Your cat. That's funny. How does your cat wake you up?
He will scream at the end of my bed until
He screams
I get up.
at you. Oh
Yeah.
my God.
And if I don't get up quick enough, he'll come up and like start patting my face.
So do you wake up happy or?
I usually wake up a little annoyed, but he's also so cute that like I can't help but love him.
So you only need to stay annoyed for a second, and then then you're like, oh, I love you, kitty. That's so funny. Well, okay, so I got an old-fashioned alarm clock, and of course there's other things. They say meditate. I can't meditate. My mind just goes a million. Are you kidding me? That's like the worst thing for someone like me. I just can't meditate. I've tried so many different techniques. It just doesn't work for me. So there's some common traditional things that they tell you to do to help you with your sleep, but none of them really work for me. So I had a I'm on a gummy search. But lights out is Kat researched this particular brand and bought it for me, and it works quite well. I'm sure it would work fantastic for a lot of people. Like I said, it works pretty good for me, but I'm gonna try a couple other different brands and see if I can find something that keeps me asleep for like a full 7. I do really well on 7 hours of sleep. That's kind of like my number, 7 or 8. But you know what they say? Nowadays they're saying like 8 hours of sleep is the most healthiest amount of hours for everything to, rejuvenate, like whatever your brain does when it's at rest, and your body and like your cells and all that stuff. They're actually saying 8 hours, and they're being a little bit more definitive. It used to be like 6 to 8, depending on the person. But now they're saying like 8. 8 hours is the amount of hours that's most beneficial, keeps the mind, the brain, the body at its healthiest and whatnot. So yeah, I'm shooting for 8, man. If they say 8, I'm gonna shoot for 8. So good. All right. So we got a new product to talk about. Oh, I meant to bring it in here and I forgot it, but it's, so everybody knows, Lift, the saline tattoo removal solution, super effective and, removing, botched eyebrows, eyeliner. You can use it around eyes. It's saved. A lift has been out. I just had a memory pop up on my Facebook, and it's like 5 years now. It's been out. And it's one of the most popular, if not the most popular, saline removal solution in the industry because it's so safe. But anything made by LI is, super safe. And it's really effective. And so maybe about a year ago, we came up with a Lift Heal Care Oil, right? We always gave our clients vitamin E. And then, I got together with, Mattia and Blanca and Darlene over there at LI. And I just thought if vitamin E is so good for rejuvenating, the skin, what if we made like a blend, like an oil blend, and added other oils? I mean, would that be even better? So we came out with the healing oil for the aftercare, and that's been fantastic. So everybody's loving that. And when we send clients home, we have them blot with saline, right, to keep it clean. And that introduces a super, super low level of salt into the area, and for a couple of days, it's still an open area. It's still going to absorb anything you put on it. So I love telling my clients, get some saline when you get home, for 3 days, you're going to blot with saline. It keeps it clean. It's a good way to wash the area. And like I said, introduces a really low level, because there's not a lot of salt in your saline solution. So it's a really low level. So got to thinking, could we develop a solution that the client brought home that kept the area clean, but introduced a higher amount of salt, a safe amount of salt that was higher than saline, that would keep the process of osmosis going. My whole theory was keep introducing salt for a couple of days, but at a really safe level. And so we developed the home care wash. And so that we just launched that, and we tested it for over a year, sent home lots of samples and to removal clients, and got really great feedback and came up with the final formula. So it's a good amount of salt that so we're introducing new amounts of salt to the area. For instance, the botched brow, it keeps it clean and it's safe. So so now I think we've got like the full package. We've got the saline removal solution. We've got the home care wash, and now we've got the healing oil. So I'm super happy, and everybody's really digging the new product. So if you do removal, you definitely want to check that out and send your clients home with it. All right. What else? Oh, we were talking a little bit earlier, and because Kat and I are going out tonight, we're going to dinner, and Kat's been trying on dresses and heels and whatnot for 2 days. She likes to model her outfits, right? And which ones. And then I have to pick my favorite, and I watch her try on her dresses and her heels, and she gets in the mirror, and I can tell which ones like she feels more sexy in, and which it is really cute, And so we were talking, like, and I'm wearing black tonight, and I mentioned I'm wearing black because it makes me feel like really sexy, So because we like to feel sexy, right? Whether you're a boy or girl, man, woman. I mean, I think most people want to feel sexy. So I know it makes me feel sexy, like all black, right? When my hair came out just perfect, and a little bit of makeup on. Yeah, I'm feeling sexy. But I have to tell you, since Michonne did my eyebrows and my lips, I'm feeling like sexy even without having to put makeup on.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, and everybody's I was just telling you, girls, like I post a reel, and they're commenting on my lips. I posted some videos from the quad trip. and they're commenting on my lips. I love your lips, girl. So Michonne did a really good job because they're not noticing the quad trips or the reel or anything like that. Like they're focused on my lips, and the comments are about my lips. So I think my lips are looking kind of sexy. Yeah, I think people are digging my lips, which is good because I didn't really think my lips were sexy before I got them tattooed. But that just shows you how like awesome permanent makeup is, man. So Olivia, what makes you feel sexy?
Putting on makeup.
Putting on
the
makeup.
entire thing, yeah.
What?
The entire thing.
The entire thing.
Eyebrows, eyeliner, eyeshadow, lipstick.
The whole thing. So is it just the result, the afterwards, like when the makeup's all on and you look in the mirror and you're like, yeah, eat your heart out, Nick. You want this, Nick? Right? Yeah, you can have fun with Nick a little bit, right? Yeah, when you get your makeup on. So is it the final result, or is it the whole process? Is it the whole process of applying it?
Yeah, it's the whole process.
It's the whole process. So is your process, so do you sit on the floor in front of a mirror, or do you stand up in front of your bath? Like what mirror? Your bathroom mirror, your bedroom mirror? What mirror?
My bathroom mirror.
Your bathroom mirror,
Yeah.
like over your sink?
Yeah.
Do you sit on your sink, like
No.
cross-legged and sit on your sink?
No.
No, you don't do that. Okay. Do you have a routine?
Yeah.
Is there a specific routine?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do
Yeah.
you pour yourself a glass of wine?
Yeah. Wine. Listen to some music. I have to have music, or sometimes I watch Netflix as I'm doing my makeup.
How do you watch Netflix and do your makeup?
I can multitask.
You're a good multitasker here at Girlz Ink. But if you can watch Netflix and flawlessly well, we didn't say flawlessly, right? We didn't say flawlessly. We just said put on your makeup. But if you can watch Netflix, and I guess just put on the makeup so it looks pretty good. I mean, that's good multitasking right there. But yeah, so you have to put on your music, and you like a little glass of wine. So it's a whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's a whole thing. Yeah,
It's
you're
the
creating
routine.
ambiance, and it's this whole thing. Do you allow Nick in the room, or you're like, get the fuck out? This is my time, my makeup time. Get out.
Yeah. Because then he'll just stand there and stare at me. And I'm like, what are
Which
you
is so
staring at?
annoying, right? Yeah, and is he the type of guy that's like, you're so pretty without it. You don't need any makeup. Is he like that guy?
Yeah.
He's that guy.
Yeah.
Doesn't that annoy you? You're like, dude, what the fuck are you talking about? Of course I look better with it. But, he's just, but that's love.
Yeah.
That's love. It's sweet that he says that. Even though he's lying.
I guess I look ugly with no
dissed.
makeup.
No, not that we look ugly with no makeup. We just look sexier with it.
Yeah.
We look better with
Yeah.
that. Right?
Yeah.
I guess there's some people out there that it doesn't matter. They're so pretty, like naturally. I don't know, they've got like really strong eyelashes, like dark eyelashes,
Yeah.
or dark, a lot of eyebrow hair. Like I'm missing eyelashes. I'm missing eyebrow hair. So I look half-assed. I don't look I don't look ugly. Like you come in here all the time with no makeup.
I do.
I'm not running. I sit right across from you every day, Olivia. And you're cute as can be. So, but when you put makeup, it's a different look.
Yeah.
It's a sexier look, right? Yeah. Let's put it this way. Because I don't want to piss off any girls out there. It enhances
Yeah.
our beauty, right?
Yeah.
Not that we're not beautiful without it, but it enhances our beauty. Is that a better way to put it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So when I used to before I got all tattooed with my makeup, I used to apply makeup too. My foundation, my blush, my eyeshadow, the whole 9 yards. Especially when I was single. Single out there, trying to land a date, and back when there were a lot of lesbian clubs, Willow. And I used to have a whole routine, and I used to have a full-length mirror in my bedroom, and I had my makeup towel, and I put it on the floor, and I would sit down and cross my legs, and I had my makeup in this little kind of bucket kind of thing, and I would get a cocktail, turn on my music. It was a whole routine. It's a whole routine. Kat has a routine too. So it's more than the final result. It's the whole process. Like some people just really dig it.
Yeah.
All right, so that's good to know when you wear makeup. All right, so when you're gonna wear makeup to work? Do you ever wear
see.
makeup to work?
I do.
Only when I tell you we're doing pictures or
or we have to do reels.
or we have to do reels.
Or have to be on camera.
I know. Yeah, but you get your brows tattooed now.
Yeah, so I don't have to worry about my brows.
No, so you just need some eyeliner tattooed. Yeah, and then is that it? Lips?
Maybe some lips.
Yeah, maybe some lips. All right. What about you, Willow? What makes you feel sexy?
I'm going to stick with my answer I said earlier, alcohol.
That's either really funny or it's really sad.
I don't drink very
And
often.
I'm not sure if I should laugh or if I should cry. Come give you a hug.
I mean, like, after 2 shots, who can say they don't feel a little sexy, right?
Right? Yeah, no, that's so true. Right? That's so true. Like, it's very true. Like, okay, you two girls, and be honest. Like, a night out of drinking, right? You're out, you're having cocktails, and you got a good buzz on. You get home. I mean, do you get in the mirror and kind of turn on music, dance a little bit for yourself in the mirror, and like, oh yeah, I looked good tonight, right? I mean, who don't
100%.
Yeah.
So I'm not the only one, right? Yeah, 100% we do that. It's so. Think about how stupid it is. If someone caught that on camera and posted it, we'd be so embarrassed, right? But we do that. I don't know why, but women do that. I don't know if men. Do you think men do that? Have you ever caught Nick doing that?
I haven't.
No. At all? Yeah, I don't know if guys do that, but women do that. Me and Kat do that. I catch Kat, she catches me. Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah. So, yeah, get home from drinking and you feel really good. You're not quite ready for the night to end. You look in the mirror and you're like, oh, hold up. Who is that? Ooh, that's me. And you're like, oh, I looked good tonight. Yeah. Yeah. And then you turn a little music and you do bust a little move and you just, lip sync it in the mirror and you're loving yourself. So funny. So funny. But I think it's a healthy thing. It's okay to love yourself and, and be happy with yourself. So, yeah. So it'd be interesting. So for all our listeners today, I'd love to know who else gets in the mirror and loves themselves. Okay. So I got a couple announcements, things coming up that I wanted to talk about, and then I wanted to talk about competition. So a couple of things coming up exciting for the studio is we've got our first international trainer coming to the Girlz Ink Studio since COVID. We had quite a few international trainers that would come and do classes at the Girlz Ink Studio. And then, of course, COVID hit and things kind of stopped for a while. And I feel only now they're just kind of getting back and getting up and going. And so we've got the Scalp Sisters, and they are from the UK. And they are fantastic, and 2 women, and I think the scalp industry is more male dominated. It's a little bit. It's not really considered PMU. It's like a niche. It's like this little subculture. Parallel to the PMU industry, and mostly male dominated, but these 2 girls are slaying it. They're super, super talented, the Scalp Sisters, and they will be here at the Girlz Ink Studio February 7th, 8th, and 9th. It's a 3-day hands-on class. And so, yeah, go to girlzink.com. We have a training calendar that will list all the details, pricing, what's included, and all that good stuff. And we would love to have you. They're keeping the class small. I wanted to say, was it 5 or 6 students? Olivia, I can't remember.
I don't remember.
I can't remember, but I know they're not. They don't want it to be a big class. So there's going to be limited seating. Let's just put it that way. There'll be limited seating February 7th, 8th, and 9th. Next year, 2023, the Scalp Sisters will be here 3 days teaching their amazing techniques on scalp tattooing. So I am super stoked for that. I know everybody here at Girlz Ink is super stoked for that. So if you have any questions, you can email us at info@girlzink.com. I think this class is going to sell out, and I think it's going to sell quickly, very, very quickly. They are selling out classes all across the UK and surrounding countries in the UK. And I believe this is their very first class in the United States. So I believe that's correct. So I'm super excited. I'm glad it's us. I'm so happy it's Girlz Ink, and I'm super stoked. So Scalp Sisters, February 7th, 8th, and 9th. And then next year, I am back at it, lecturing live, conferences, PMU conferences and conventions. I have missed it desperately. I kept busy doing online conferences, the last couple of years, and those are fun. I thoroughly enjoyed them, but with that said, nothing compares to a live audience. Just being on stage and I can see their faces. I can have fun with them, and I can interact with them, and you actually feel their energy. So I am so excited and so happy to be back lecturing in person. And so 2023, I'll just announce the first 3 conferences I will be at. The first one is January 27th, 28th, and 29th, and it is in Little Rock, Arkansas. Last year, this conference got like 800 attendees. So it is Ebony Kimbrough. She is in Little Rock, Arkansas. And January 27th, 28th, and 29th, I will be there live lecturing. And I think I'm going to do pigments. I think I'm going to do skin undertones. I think that's what I'm going to do. Don't hold me to it, but I think that's what I'm going to do. I just confirmed that Mattia Story, the chemist of LI Pigments, is going to be there as well. And she's going to be talking about the science of pigments. So... and I know Ebony has lots of other, smart, talented, fantastic artists and companies there speaking. So that will be a good one to look out for in Little Rock, Arkansas in January. And then in February, we find the exact dates? Our internet went down, but it's the AAM, and it is in February. I do believe it's the 3rd week in February. Olivia's going to look that up real quick. But it's the AAM, and it's in LA. And I am going to be speaking on needles. So I'm so excited about that. I love needles. Spent a long time making my own needles. And I'm going to make this needle lecture a little bit different. So I think it's going to be fantastic. So I'm excited for that. The AAM in February 2023, LA. And then in May, I will be in Scottsdale for the Scottsdale Permanent Makeup and Aesthetic Conference, May 5th, 6th, and 7th. And I am doing an eyeliner lecture. And I actually think they gave me my choice if I wanted to film and pre-record an eyeliner tattoo procedure, or do I want to tattoo an eyeliner live on stage? So I think that I want to tattoo a live eyeliner on stage, although it gives me horrible anxiety. I won't sleep the night before. I'm going to be scared as hell because, you never know if they're going to bleed, or they're going to swell, or you just don't know. And this is live, right? So, but there's something about tattooing live on stage and narrating that I'm really drawn to. I've been doing it for a lot of years all over the world. And there's just something very exciting about that to me that I love to do. And the last time I did it was in Miami when Microbo put on that conference. And after that, COVID hit. And for, a long time, I thought that very well may be the very last time I ever tattooed live on stage for a conference. And that bothered me because it wasn't my choice, and I didn't have control. It was it could have been this forced thing, and I'm getting a little bit older. I mean, if for those of you that don't know, I'm on the back end of my career. So many of you, are in the beginning stages of your career. You've been doing this, 1, 2, 3 years. Those of you that have been doing it 9, 10 years, you're in the middle, right in the meat, in the middle of your career. I've been doing this 22 years. I just celebrated 22 years this month. So I'm on the back end of my career. I'm in the last act of my career, really, and when I say that, sometimes the people, they're like, oh, no, don't say that. I'm like, well, it's true. And that's not a sad thing for me. I don't think it will be a sad thing for me. And that doesn't mean, my career will end. That just means live tattooing. There's certain things I'm going to have to put down and retire from eventually, and probably tattooing live on stage at conferences will be one of them. I mean, and, in the rigorous training schedules, hands-on training, that I do, those are some of the first things that you'll probably, retire from. So yeah, I didn't want to be forced out. I just didn't want to be forced out. When it's my very last time tattooing on stage live for an audience, I want to know. I want it to be my decision, and I want to know this is my last time. So I don't know. I think I'm going to tattoo live. Yeah, I really do. So, but I do have a question for our listeners. And this has been a topic before between conference owners, like people that put on conferences, whether when you're doing a demo, like an eyeliner demo or a brow demo, does the majority of the audience want a live demo? Do they want the speaker or the artist to tattoo that procedure live on stage? Does the audience get more out of it? Is it better? Is it more exciting? Is it more organic? Or is it more beneficial? Does the audience prefer a pre-recorded procedure? Like I'll do an eyeliner here at the studio. I'll pre-record it. Is that better for the audience, for the viewer? So, and this is a question I am going to put on my Facebook board. I legitimately want to know where people stand on this and get people's opinions. So, and it'll be interesting because I'll tell you, the argument is when it's live on stage, it's organic and you narrate live and you never know what's going to happen during an eyeliner procedure or any procedure. So if I get a bleeder, I'm going to have to talk my way out of it and tattoo my way out of it. And the audience will, go through that with me. And when, I think it's more exciting, so there's that argument. And then the pre-recorded version, the argument is, well, you can make sure your camera angles are really, really good. You can make sure the close-ups are really good and the quality of, the video is really, really good. Because sometimes when you do tattoo on stage, you're at the mercy of the conference owner, making sure that they have a good videographer there, good cameras, and they can catch you. They can really catch you really, really well. Great views of your hand, your needle, and the area. Because as you know, Olivia, we film procedures here for the Academy, and it can be difficult to capture, right, a tattooer, depending on how they sit. Some people sit really hunched over. They really, they have bigger hands, or the way they grip their machine. It's, they don't leave a good sight line for that camera to get in there and really capture them. So I'm a little torn. I have not made up my decision. I'm leaning a little bit more towards tattooing live, but for selfish reasons. And I certainly don't want to be selfish. These conferences are not for me. They're for, every single attendee that, spends, a lot of money on a ticket, airfare, hotel, eating out. I think about them. And And it's kind of like a show, you just want to bring a good show, it's got to be a 10. Like the lecture part, it's got to be exciting. It's got to be like, just really good information. And the tattooing part's got to be, really, really good. So please, listeners, viewers, in the comments, live or pre-recorded eyeliner. That's what I want to know. I want to get people's opinion. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
I know.
That's a good question.
Mm-hmm. It is a good question. All right. So let's talk about, I wanted to talk about competition today. We've already talked about a lot of stuff, but let's talk about competition. Competition, depending on how you look at it, how you view competition, it can be a really negative thing that can actually even affect your mental health. It can affect your time. I mean, it can rob you of time, can take you away from your company, your family. It can cause, there's so many, it can be so negative. But on the flip side, competition can be so positive and healthy and be so good for you. It just depends on how you meet competition, how you choose to look at competition, think of competition, and process competition. When you're listening, I listen to a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of lectures. I read. Well, I don't read. I got my audiobooks going on. And so sometimes you'll hear people talk about competition as, you got to go out there and you got to crush your competition. You got to like crush them and kill them. It's like, and I never really identified with that. It almost puts like the fight in you, like you're out there fighting your competition. It can give you angst, if you buy into that, that you got to go out there and crush your competition. And I just don't like that approach to competition. And then you'll hear some people talk about competition in the manner that it's just it's competition is made up in your ego, and it's not really real. Competition doesn't really exist. Competition doesn't, and I don't really identify with that either, because yes, competition exists. I mean, there's, competition is, if you're competing, you got permanent makeup artists, hairdressers, nail techs, lash girls, all in the same city. You're competing for the same clients. You got two baseball teams, trying to win the game. They're competing against each other to win the game. There is competition. It's just how you look at competition. And when you compete with others, when you view your competition to the point where you feel you got to crush them, beat them, and you got this, you get obsessed with them, right? When you compete with others, I think you can get really bitter. When you compete with yourself, you become better. And I think that's the big difference. And that's what I want to get into. I think you are your own competition, not other people. I think if you can look at competition that way, instead of focusing on other PMU artists or other hairdressers or other studios or, whatever your competition is, instead of viewing them as your enemy, right? And something negative, something or someone that can take from you. If you can change that and look at competition as something that it keeps you on your toes. It keeps you alert and it keeps you on your toes. Competition, I think, forces us to do our very best. That's what competition does for me. Competition forces me to do my very best, even in times where maybe I'm feeling a little lazy or I want to procrastinate, right? Competition is not your enemy. It's what goes on inside of your own head that is your enemy. And if you're constantly, like I mentioned earlier, if you're constantly focused on competition, then you're not focused on your own business, your own goals, and what you're trying to do, and accomplish. You're getting distracted by competition, and maybe you're following them, or even sometimes even stalking them. On Instagram, it can cause jealousy. It can cause you to feel a lack of. It can cause you to have fear. And all those negative emotions. And I think competition in business is a fantastic thing, and it exists to serve us in all kinds of amazing ways. I think the best part of competition is it allows you to discover what you're actually capable of, and just how much more you can do and you can achieve than you ever thought possible. That's what competition does for me. I wouldn't be who I am today if it wasn't for competition. Some of my best friends are my competition, right? Some of my best friends, my good friends, own supply stores, right? We're all trying to sell pigments, supplies, and whatnot. Some of my dear friends are my competition for clients. They're right here in Vegas, and they're super talented, and they have studios, and technically, yeah, that's my competition. But I don't look at them like as my enemy or in a negative way, or they're gonna take from me. What they all do for me is I think I'm the innovator that I am because of them. I think I'm the creator that I am because of them. I think I've discovered skills and talents and things about myself that I didn't know existed because of them. And all that happened because I'm not out there, I'm not stalking them, I'm not jealous of them. I don't look at them as the enemy, and I just don't do that. Now, there was a time in my life where I did look at competition that way very early on in my career, and I think it's human nature. I think it's human nature that you look at competition and you can get fear, especially if they're really talented, and their marketing is on point, and things like that. We're humans. It can cause these negative emotions to come up, but you have to be aware when those negative emotions come up, and you have to nip them in the bud, right? You can't let them fester and multiply and get away from you and turn you into this person that, now hates your competition. You're afraid of your competition. You think your competition's this, that, and the other. You turn them into the enemy. So it's just being aware. It's mindset, really. It's being mindful and mindset. And like I said, I wasn't always good at it. And early on in my career, I didn't like how I felt about the competition. It gave me anxiety. I just didn't like it at all. And once I started turning my attention from my competition, stopped focusing on the competition, and I started put blinders on, and I started focusing on my own goals, what I wanted to develop in myself, what I want to become better at, my goals, what I wanted to achieve. Once I started focusing on myself, those negative feelings, they just start to wane away. They just start to wane away. And not that they don't creep up every now and then. I'd be a liar if I said that they don't, right? We're human. We're human. But I have such a better, I just have such better control now of my thoughts. I process things a lot better and a lot healthier. So now, today, I can honestly say that I'm grateful for my competition. I am who I am today. Girlz Ink is what it is today because of my competition. And I think it's really important to want for others what you want for yourself. So if you want to be successful, it's really important for you to want others to be successful, even your competition. Instead of wanting them to go away, go out of business, you don't want to wish that on other people, even your competition, because we tend to attract what we put out there into the universe. So if you're putting good, positive, healthy, prosperous thoughts out there for people, for everybody around you, then that's what you're going to attract for your own life. And I do believe that with all my heart. And I think one important thing to remember is you don't have to be bigger, better, bolder. You only need to be authentic and different, right? I think some people think, I got to be bigger, I got to be better, I got to be bolder. No, that's not necessarily true. I think you just have to be authentic, genuine, and different. There's got to be something different about you, than everybody else in your town or other people in the industry, in your industry. And we've talked about being authentic and genuine, a lot on this podcast. And I think people crave authenticity. They just do. And so if you're authentic, and you can find, that's going to attract success. And then if you can find your little niche, something that makes you a little unique, a little different, then that's also going to help, attract success. And stop focusing on the competition. I know there's people out there probably listening today that, stalk their competition. I have someone, I have a colleague that does, and we've talked about that in great lengths, actually. And, and they don't genuinely even, they know it's not healthy for them, but they can't help it. And then, and I can always tell when they've been like on Instagram or, stalking, their competition on Instagram or Facebook. I can always tell, because when we get on the phone or we get together and we talk, there's an edge to this person. They're kind of wound up and, and maybe they're not being as graceful about these people as they should be. And I'm like, you've been on Instagram again, haven't you? And, but some people can't help themselves. And not everybody gets affected, by their competition that way. But there are certainly people that do. It just affects them so negatively. It causes jealousy, anxiety. It causes bitter feelings. So definitely if you're that person, you don't want to go through life or go your entire career having those negative feelings. It's not healthy for you, and it's not healthy for your business. So I think competition with yourself. My biggest competitor is me these days. It's me, right? Technically, I have competition out there, of course, technically speaking, but they're not they're my competition. But as I mentioned earlier, when I see them being successful and doing really super cool things and living life at their best and reaching their goals, it motivates me. It lights a fire into my ass, and it motivates me, and it inspires me. And it makes me dig deep. I mean, we come in and I talk about it, Olivia. You know, we talk about it, and it's a really healthy thing. I think, but I'm really my own competition, and I can be a negative source of competition sometimes, right? I think we all can be, because truly speaking, if you really think about it, who or what is your competition when you're trying to achieve something? Yourself. Yourself. So I made a list of things. That, can affect you really negatively. And this list that I made, this is your competition. So let's start with number 1, lack of discipline. Right? Lack of discipline. Number 2, the knowledge you neglected to learn. Number 3, your bad habits. So let's just start with those 3. Lack of discipline. If you have a lack of discipline, then you're not going to get your work done. You're not going to achieve your goals, or if you are, they're going to be you're going to be late. You're not going to make deadlines. You put things on the back burner. You choose to go out and party, rather than staying in that weekend and getting a project done. Things like that. Lack of discipline. Competitor. That's a competitor. That's major competition right there within your own self. The knowledge you neglected to learn. And we've talked about this before. If you're a PMU artist, you need to learn everything about PMU. You need to learn the skin, because that's your canvas. You chose, the human face, as your canvas. You need to learn pigments. You need to learn color theory. You need to learn needle. You need to learn your machine. There's so many things that you need to learn. So the knowledge that you neglected to learn becomes competition against you. Your bad habits, right? Not going to bed early enough, so you wake up late, you wake up tired. Having cocktails when you have to get up in the morning and do a procedure. That's something I can't do. I've done that before in the past. I think I did, maybe like 5 or 6 months ago, we went out to dinner and I had cocktails, and I woke up the next day and I felt like shit. And I don't do it that often, but I remember telling Kat, I just cannot do that anymore. If our friends or, make dinner plans, and it's on a night and I have to get up the following morning, I just have to decline. It's too hard for me to go to dinner and not have a glass of wine or a martini. I feel, I'm going to be like bitter. I'm going to pout. So I just have to decline, because I know how it makes me feel the next morning. I don't feel good. I wake up, I'm not my best self the next morning. And it's not because I drink a lot, you guys, but I don't drink a lot. Like the most I ever have is like 2, but I'm a lightweight. I don't do well with cocktails. But I like to have 1 or 2 cocktails when I go to dinner, and I'm just not my best self the next day. So when I'm not my best self, it has to be on a Sunday or a Monday when I'm home and I'm not seeing clients and I don't have projects to do here at Girlz Ink. So your bad habits, and we all have bad habits. None of us are perfect. Okay, so that's 1, 2, and 3. Number 4, your procrastination. And that really stems from lack of discipline, right? I think. And I can procrastinate. I can identify with every single thing on this list, you guys, for sure. I'm not a perfect human being, but I'm aware. I'm aware of all these things, and I'm alert, and and I try to avoid these things, but I'm not always successful. But number 4, your procrastination. Number 5, your excuses. Probably my biggest excuse is I'll do it next week. I've been saying that to you, Willow, like crazy with the new color theory checklist that we're working on, fucking sucks. But it's like, damn
It'll
it.
be here when you're ready.
I know, and I'm going to do it next week. Damn it, I am. And I get so mad at myself. But, I'm working on this great color theory checklist. It's the first of its kind. There's nothing like this in the industry. I'm so excited to get it done. But it's super detailed. You're putting it on, is it Illustrator?
Yes.
Yeah, you're putting it on Illustrator. It's going to be a poster. And it's just like, you can just go look at the client and go check, 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 check. And depending on what you check, it leads you to, the target color, the modifier, how much modifier. It's just this beautiful piece of educational material that I'm so excited to get out, that I think it's going to streamline picking the right pigment. But I keep, procrastinating and making excuses. And so, shame on me, man. God dang it. So, yeah, I know.
But at least you're aware.
I'm very aware, and I'm throwing myself under the bus,
Yeah.
and I get so disappointed in myself, you guys. I get so disappointed in myself that I beat myself up to the point where Kat's like, Teryn, you got to stop. It's like you're running a company. Other things that you don't expect to happen, and you have to handle that. And I know all that, but it still sucks. I still get really down on myself because sometimes we think we're super human, right? And we should be able to, do everything, put out all the fires and handle all unexpected stuff and still get, a project done on time. So I do get really hard on myself. Okay, next one, all your distractions. We just talked about that, like scrolling Instagram, comparing yourself with people, getting distracted with text messages. So when you're working on a project, don't bring your phone in, so you're not constantly looking at your text messages, checking your Instagram. There's so many distractions, right at our fingertips these days that can make you miss your deadlines and, be late with projects. Your fears, man. That's a big one. Your fears, your self-doubt, and your ego. Those are the last 3. And, out of this list, I don't know which is the biggest one. I guess for everybody, it's going to be different, right? For, your fears, that alone, your fear and your self-doubt, those 2 things alone can keep you from even starting a project or getting into something that you want to do and you think you'll be good at, because you have fear and self-doubt, and you think you won't be good enough, you're not smart enough, you can't do it alone, you don't have enough money, things like that. And then your ego can definitely be your competition, because some people have really big egos. Sometimes the ego gets in the way. They feel, well, I'm above that. I don't have to do that. I've been in the industry this many years, or, whatever excuses, you tell yourself, whatever things you tell yourself, but sometimes ego can definitely get in the way. We should all have a healthy ego, but some people have a really big ego that gets in their way. They feel entitled. Things like that, so your ego can get in the way. So let me run down this list one time, because this is your real competition, you guys. Your lack of discipline, the knowledge you neglected to learn, your bad habits, your procrastination, your excuses, all your distractions, your fears, your self-doubt, your ego. Compete with that. that's a badass competitor right there.
Yeah.
And there's people, myself included, that deal with, multiple things on this list, right? Multiple things on this list. So if you had to pick one thing off this list, Olivia, that is your number one competitor, right? What would that be?
I guess it would be self-doubt.
Your self-doubt?
Yeah.
Your self-doubt,
And
really?
fear.
Self-doubt and fear.
Yeah,
Yeah?
of not succeeding.
So your fear of not succeeding keeps you
From doing it.
from doing it. Well, good thing you have me, because I'm like always kicking you in the ass.
Yeah.
But you're super smart. You're a smart girl. I mean, you're like, what's that thing?
Phi Theta Kappa.
Yeah, that thing.
Yeah.
What is it?
Phi Theta Kappa.
Phi beta kappa?
Phi Theta Kappa.
Phi theta?
Theta.
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 Yeah.
Phi theta kappa. I didn't go to college. Can you tell I can't even say it right? Phi theta kappa.
Yeah.
That means you're smart.
Yeah.
You are. You're super smart. And so are you, Willow. You both
Thank
are
you.
like, two of the smartest people I know. But you know what they say? Like, a good entrepreneur surrounds himself with people that are smarter than themselves and know more than they know. In certain areas.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know more than PMU than I know.
No.
No,
I think we're all nerds in something.
Yeah, we all have our things we super excel at, right? And things that, we don't, the things that I'm not really good in, when you're a business owner, if there's certain things like you're not good in, that you don't do well, you're not knowledgeable in, then you have to hire people that are really knowledgeable in that particular area or good in that particular area. Yeah. Okay, so Willow, same question for you. So what's your biggest competition with yourself?
I think that I would actually have to agree with Olivia with the self-doubt. I think that I get it in my head that I can't do it just because of like some things that maybe I've heard in the past from my family. So they implanted the seed of doubt, and now I have to get over that.
So you had people in your family that
Just didn't think that I could get into college and
Really?
do that. So I think because of that I have to overcome the self-doubt that gave me.
Oh, well, that's sad. But at least you did it.
I did.
Yeah.
And I did well in college.
You
and
did
I enjoyed
really-
it. So
Yeah, and you're really smart, and you're doing great, and you're happy.
I am.
Yeah, but that sucks to have people in your own family, right? Say it sucks when anybody says that to you, but someone in your own family, the family unit is supposed to be, if no one else, the people that build you up and tell you can do. I was really very lucky that both my mother and father, I'm really close with my dad. He was an entrepreneur. He was a plumber, and he had his own business in Maine. I grew up, and he had his own business. And my dad, he was just, he just has always believed in me and really just taught me, and my siblings that we could do whatever we wanted, and if you weren't going, and my best whole thing was, look, if you're not going to go to college, I'm not going to be disappointed. Not everybody's meant for college, but if you're not going to go to college, then pick a trade, hairdressing, plumbing after me if you want, electrician. He never said permanent makeup. That wasn't on his radar. But he was like, pick a trade, where he goes, because, that way you can, you'll have a service and a skill set that others will need from you. You'll be of service to your community, and and if you're good at it and you master it and you learn it, you'll always have work, Teryn. You'll always have work, and you can even end up having your own company and being your own boss. And none of us kids went to college. And we're two of us are entrepreneurs and have our own business. So that was really great. So if I had to pick something off this list, okay, it's not lack of discipline. I'm pretty disciplined. I got a good work ethic. I don't get lazy. I guess I could always be a little bit better. I think we could all improve a little bit in the area of discipline, right? So, but I'm pretty good there. I wouldn't say that's my competition. The knowledge you neglected to learn, well, that certainly is not that's not my competition, right? I got that covered. I just loved PMU so much. I learned every aspect of it. I just did, to the point where I think I could get on a stage, throw me a topic, and I could talk probably 2 hours on it with no PowerPoint. I mean, honestly, I'm not bragging, but except for scalp. I don't think
not any topic.
No, not any topic. I was lying. Not any topic.
Eyebrows down.
Yeah. But but a lot of things like in our industry, because just learning all about it was just so fascinating, interesting. I want to know it all. Bad habits. I don't really have any bad habits because I think that's kind of like a little offspring of like discipline. If you got good discipline, typically, you don't have a lot of bad habits. You got those nipped in the bud. Procrastination, maybe a little bit of that, but not bad. For me, I think it's not my excuse. It's probably my distractions. I think it's my distractions. It's not my fear, self-doubt, or my ego. I don't have fear or self-doubt. I now in my life, 22 years in the industry, I know what I know. I'm comfortable with I know. I know I'm of service to my fellow artists in the industry. Not that when I don't launch something new, like when we launched this color theory thing, this checklist, I'm going to be nervous as hell. I'm going to have a little I don't know if it's self-doubt, just are they going to love it the way I think they're going to love it? Is it going to be as helpful to the artists in the industry as I think it's going to be? Is it going to be as successful as I think it's going to be? And maybe I get a little bit of fear that way, right? Because you think you've done such a good job, crossed every T, dotted every I, you put your heart and soul into something. And is it going to be accepted? Is it going to be useful, helpful? So I do get a little bit of fear, but I don't get fear that I can't do something. I guess my fear is, how is it going to be received? How is it going to be received? And I don't really make excuses. I don't make excuses for myself. So I'm really not somebody that accepts excuses too well from other people. I don't do well with people that make excuses. I just own your shit, man. But distractions, that's my big one on this list. I think the distractions, I get easily distracted either with, LI calling me, we've got an issue here, there, or this, or, I just, texts, emails. I get distracted. Or we got something we got to do here, we got a convention, just stuff, just work stuff that's constantly, the artists, things like that. So probably distractions is my biggest, my biggest competition to myself. So, yeah. So to sum it up, everybody outside of you, yes, that's competition, but if you can, if you're feeling fearful of them, if you're feeling like they're taking from you, if they give you anxiety or angst or, jealousy, if you can start reframing that, working through that and flipping the script and view your outside competition, the exterior competition, as a place of motivation, a place of inspiration, people that bring out the best in you, people that cause you to dig deep, and really, create beyond, what you even thought you were capable of. Then your whole life changes. When you start viewing your competition like that, you just get a whole lot happier. I think you enjoy the industry more, and you just get a whole lot happier. It's just like a weight of bricks gets lifted off you because you realize, yes, there's a lot of PMU artists in my city. Yeah, there's a ton of people putting out online courses, and there's all this and that and a lot of that. And but they don't take from me. They don't dictate my success. They don't evoke negative emotion. There's nothing it's all positive. I mean, this is good. This is good for me, and it's good for my business. It keeps me on my toes and alert and from getting complacent. It's why I'm who I am today. It's why my business is as successful as today. And look at your own self, and the things within you that competes with you and deters you or limits you or makes you late on, getting projects or never even getting started, for Pete's sake, right? It's the competition that we create for our own selves. Is what we really have to, look at. There's a reason, when you look at when you go to the racetrack, you see the horses, they've got the blinders on, and it's so they can't see the competing horses on either side of them because it's a distraction for the horse. They don't run their best race. If you got a horse, and you're running a race, or just like and then looking to the right and the left, I mean, they're getting distracted from the horses, and they don't do the run race. They don't run their best race. A horse is always going to run their best race when they've got those blinders on and all they can see is straight down that racetrack and the finish line. They're laser focused on the horizon, on the finish line, not everything that's going on all around them and all the competition coming up right behind them or right alongside them. And that's what we need to do, is run our own race, stay focused on our own business and all our own goals. And some of these competition things that I listed, if you identify with some or all of these things on this list, then start working on that. So that's competition. What are you laughing at?
Something.
Well, I think that's a topic that should be talked about more. I really, really do, because I've seen, I'm on a lot of the Facebook groups and whatnot, and I think a lot of sometimes the cattiness or the unkind things that get said, or some of the little spats that go back and forth, sometimes, on social media, these groups, is due to how they view competition. Sometimes, you can feel threatened. When you feel threatened, then you're defensive, mm-hmm. right? So it's not good to feel defensive. So that's why I wanted to do a podcast and talk about competition. All right, so that is done. Do we have anything else? That's it. All right. Well, summer has wrapped up and fall is here. We're heading into, I know, I'm so happy. We're heading into October, and that is my favorite month of the whole year. I love Halloween. I'm so excited for it. So, so until next time, everybody, stay in the pursuit of happiness.